Welcome, Kim. I
Thank
am
you.
so glad that you've joined me here this morning for you,
Yep.
at the
Right.
crack of dawn for you.
Yep.
So let's just jump in and tell us where you're from and why you're up so early and who you are so that people can
Okay.
kind of orient.
Yep. I am Kim Paget. I'm from sunny Sydney. It is actually sunny today. We're moving into winter, so we're in autumn. It's a little bit cool, but it's sunny. Um, it is 9 a.m. here right now. So I'm on my second coffee, so hopefully I make sense. I am the creator of the Unveiled deck.
Yes, I have my copy right here too. Yes, and I'm so excited because I invited you to get on a call with me because I had just finished doing a reading with this deck. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this called me out in all of the ways that I needed to be called out. And I want to have a conversation with Kim about just,
Yeah.
you know, how this came to be and why this is so freaking good. So just in case you don't know me, I'm Safrianna Luna, the Queer Spirit Guide, and I'm co-founder of Living Luna, a brand that is centered around uplifting the others of the world. And I am just all about us living in our authenticity to make the world a better place by shining the example of what we can be and living that in embodiment. So, Kim, thank you for coming on with me today. Yes, your deck called me the hell out and I loved it. And so we called this episode No Bypassing Bullshit
Mhm.
because we're both very anti bypassing. This
Yep.
deck does not let you,
Yep.
and you don't let people. So
Yep.
tell me a little bit about that. What allowed you to step into your boldness with really allowing yourself to lead from this place of don't fake it, don't ignore your shadows.
Yep. After probably thousands of tarot reads, it's a common theme of why does this keep happening to me? Why don't my relationships work? Um, and you get to the point where it's like, I can read your cards and tell you, there's another partner coming or there's another, job offer. But if you don't get to the core of what your own bullshit is, patterns continue, right? So it's about getting to the core, not, in this industry, there's a lot of love and light. And I wish everybody love and light. But
Mhm.
if you don't look at what's wrong with you, and we all have it, like it's not like, don't anyone think, oh my God, this is about me. No, we all need to do this work. But if you bypass and just think positive, patterns remain. You're going to do the same stuff, And I was concerned about clients that would keep the same patterns, never grow, never try something new, And it's like, why? So we go back and we find out what happened usually in their childhood that made them think that, this is acceptable or the self-worth is so low, I will put up with this. So when you get to the core of that and start to heal it, it's like, hey, you know what? I have boundaries now. I'm not going to put up with stuff that I don't want to put up with. It is about being authentic. If you're not authentic, if you can't be 100% honest with yourself, don't pick up this deck because you're going to draw a card and go, oh, I don't have any baggage. I don't self sabotage. I'm accountable for everything I do. No. Okay. Now, if you pick up the deck and can't find a card you resonate with, go back to go. Don't get your $200. Start again. It's a very tarot calls you out, and that's why I love tarot. There's no fluffiness with tarot. So I went a step higher, and I went, okay, let's call you out. Bang,
Yeah,
call you out
and
good.
that's what I needed. I actually, it's so funny. I had purchased this deck after working with you in Raising Wild Ones. And I was like, oh my gosh, this other author has her own deck, like, and she made the artwork in it. Holy shit. And I just pulled the balance card for the record to be sort of my theme here tonight. And that is exactly what I'm working on. So, it can call you out in the light side of
Yeah,
things
yeah,
too, where you need to
yeah.
work on that. But yeah, remind me real quick what natural number you are.
6.
6. That's what I was thinking. I was feeling your energy, and I'm like,
Yeah.
she's got to be a 6. Yeah, and 6's superpower is calling out what's alive in the moment. And so you did just that with people in tarot. You were trying to call out what was alive in the moment, but tarot, isn't quite specific enough about the shadow side of things sometimes because it's, broad symbolism. But
Yeah.
these cards, I love that the light ones, it's like kind of interpret it in your own. What does this mean in your life? So I see balance and I say, okay, well, I'm literally balancing multiple careers right now as I'm trying to create the new balance for myself in my new career. Right. But
Yeah.
then the shadow side, you have some very, very wise things in this shadow. I'm like, as a soon to be ex trauma therapist, this deck does not pull punches. And
No.
it's right
No.
in the trauma and it's so good. So don't do this if you are not like you haven't
Yeah.
done a little bit of self-development where you can sit with your stuff, but I just love how alive it is with
Yeah.
what you're working with, which I just pulled destination happiness.
Yep.
As I think about balance for me, yeah, destination happiness is that like, well, I'll be balanced when I get there.
Yep. Yep. When I've got this sorted, when this falls into place, when this happens, when I get a bigger office, then I'll be happy. And that's a huge trap we all fall into, right? It's like I'll put it over there. When I do this, that's where my happiness is. When really we need to make it now.
Right.
Then anything that happens when we get a new office or we get a day off, it's like extra happiness. It's not like, oh, now I can, and very rarely do people who live in destination happiness mindset ever get there.
Mm-hmm.
There's always another problem, right? If you got the
Yeah.
bigger house that you wanted, maybe there's a lot of traffic now, or that you will find a problem because that is not the fix that you thought it was.
Yep.
I mean,
And
when I lose 20 kilos, I'm going to be happy. You're not, because your mindset is the same in a different body.
right. Yes. It's when I have time, when I have money, when I have the support finally. And we have to commit. And committing means committing to all parts of ourselves.
Yep.
It means committing to not just the dream, but all of the parts of us that are struggling with that dream and committing to walking alongside them so that we can do what we're meant to do. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And it is about the journey. Oh,
and it's called
control.
control.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
It
about
doesn't.
the journey
Yeah.
and the
It is.
fact that we don't have control over every freaking aspect of the journey.
That's right. Yep. Yep. Only ourselves and our mindset and our actions. And when we realize that, we can change the destination. We put things in other people's, not control, hands, mate. There's a lot of people that are like, I'll wait to see what they do, and then I'll decide what I'm going to do. It happens a lot in the workplace. You don't get along with the colleague, and it's like, well, I'll see if he leaves first, and then I get to stay. Or instead of going, you know what, I don't think this is working. I either got to find a different workspace or leave and get another job. Instead, you put the control in somebody else's hands, and you go home every night and you're angry and you bitch about it, but you're not doing anything about it. I've read people that are in same job for 15 years and they hate it. And I'm like, well, solution here is to find another job. Oh, but I'm close to long service now. Okay, so you're going to spend another 5 years in hell for your gold watch? Like, you're missing the moment. You're prepared. That's destination happiness. You're prepared to put 5 years of your life on hold or live in a shit mindset that you're going to for a watch. Like, if you're 3 months away from long service and things have gone a bit shit, I get it. But when you're years,
Yeah. Yeah, there's something to be said about a long-term plan leading towards joy versus a long-term plan that's just misery the whole
Yeah.
time in the hope of the carrot, the golden carrot at the end of the stick, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think it's totally reasonable for us to say, for the next 90 days, I am going to full steam ahead, eye on the prize, dig into whatever I'm working on, right? And that's usually how goals are,
Yeah.
right? Like any kind of goal, there's got to be some kind of momentum, and that takes more than 2 days for any meaningful project or self-development or anything like that. So if the second we hit the shadow, the second we hit something out of our control, the second we hit something uncomfortable, we back out. We never build enough momentum to get through that hurdle. But yeah, if it's 5 years, oh, I'm going to have to drag myself for another 5 years. That's a
Yeah.
whole different story.
Yeah, it is. It's a difference between this is my goal. I'm going to have obstacles because you are. If you pick a goal and like the first thing that goes wrong, you're like, oh, well, it's not meant for me, then it's not meant for you. You're going to go through some things, all right, to get to where you want, and you're prepared for that. But this is just living in I don't know, a shit situation to get to here. Like there's no, there's nothing, there's no growth, there's no learning. If I had stopped on my first hurdle creating this deck, I would have been done within a month. When you write a deck like this, you have to live every shadow and you don't know what's coming at you and you don't expect it. And then boom, it comes. The amount of things that I went through to get to the publishing, the artwork. I gave the artwork, I commissioned it to an artist because I can't draw a stick figure. So I'm like, you know what? There's no way I can do artwork on this. I'm going to have to commission it out. She did all the work. I paid for all the work. And at the 11th hour with the last card, she says, you know what? I've been thinking I should get royalties and I should get this and I should get that. And I just went, like, we had an agreement. I bought the artwork. Anyway, I made the silly mistake of not getting that in writing at the beginning. But what that did was, at the time, it devastated me. Here I am, artwork I want to release in 5 months or whatever it was at that point. What am I to do? So I had the sheets. I went home. I said to my husband, you know what? Remember when we were in like kindergarten and we got the straw, we just blow ink? I'm going to do that. Anyway, I had no intention of doing that. Yeah.
Self-empowerment.
I saw my girlfriend the next day and I told her the same story. She goes, that's how I do alcohol ink. I go, what? So she told me how it worked, what supplies to get. I went home, I got the supplies, I practiced for a day and a half, and I painted the deck, which led to a huge door of other things. Like suddenly I channeled this art that I didn't know that I could do. So that opened the door to channeling people's energy and, painting and doing all this beautiful stuff. If that hadn't happened to me, if I'd given up then, we wouldn't be sitting here now.
Right.
I had to walk the walk and talk the talk if you're going to put out a deck like that. In my reads, I like to empower people. Like, of course you can do that. Let's find ways that you can do it. I can't do that if I didn't do it.
Yeah. And I love this because these are the cards that I pulled for myself as I'm sitting with the energy of my transition right now. And just in me pulling these cards and showing them to you, we just had a conversation where you shared your own shadow story in a way that let me reflect how I'm kind of walking the same path. So there is so much power in this to connect not just within ourselves and the parts of ourselves that maybe we've tried to shove away for years and years and years and sometimes decades and decades.
Yep.
But it's also potentially a way to open conversations to explore our shadows ourselves. Like I could see this being such a powerful group processing tool, right?
Yep.
Like, all right, let's draw our career, right? So we're going to talk about career tonight. How has career related to being at a crossroads in your life, right? And then it's like instantaneously there's this connection with this really gritty component of being human. I think all of us have probably been at a crossroads with a career or
Yep.
a job or whatever, right?
Yep.
Where am I going from here? Like, there's just such capacity to have deep, meaningful conversations. And that's what these calls are all about, because I have really, really discovered, unfortunately, in the past 4 or 5 years, more than ever, I guess, because of my own understanding of self, just how much we bypass.
Me
I
too.
had I had to leave a spiritual community because they were spiritual bypassing and refused to talk about the harm that was happening. I've had to leave relationships where there's bypassing going on, and I see people doing the toxic bypassing, the toxic positivity, love and light all the time. And I'm very love and light. I mean, I'm wearing sparkles, and you see, like, I'm
Yeah.
all about shine your light and do your thing. But we have to cultivate a relationship with these shadows in order to live fully
Yeah.
in an embodied state.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. If we're not living authentically, we're really like, how much of ourselves are we giving to the world, to ourselves? It's people pleasing. I need to be a certain way for people to like me or to belong. And you end up with this version of yourself that you don't even recognize. And who really wants to be like that? Like, at the end of the day, when all is said and done, do you really want to look back on a life that was partially lived because you weren't yourself? That's what it comes down to. And like, yeah, it's good to think positive. I will always tell everybody, try and make that your default, of course, but not, this trauma happened, I'm just going to think positive and not worry about it, because it's going to rear its head in 10 years and it's not going to be pretty, because it will. And what happened in those 10 years? How much did you not live? How much did you not, what opportunities did you not take because of that fear of not good enough, I won't make it, and so you leave it there. You have to live your full life. We don't have to, but it's best. So you need to call yourself out. And even for someone who's never done the work, if you pick up, if you do a little reading for yourself, the light cards, there's no description of those in the guidebook. And I have had people contact me and go, oh my God, my book hasn't got the descriptions of the light cards. And I go, yeah, I know that, because it's not for me to tell you what your happiness is.
Mm-hmm.
My balance is different to your balance. My family is different to your family. I can't tell you that. There's no description. You know what it is. If you don't know, start looking there first. A dark card a shadow card will make you think. If you don't get it straight away, just think on it. Think on it and what it could mean. Try and find someone that can help you. Ask a friend. How often do we see, our friends in the same patterns, and we tell them, and they're like, no, it's fine. That's not a red flag. Maybe they'll think, they'll stop and think. It's all about that. So you can pick it up at any stage in your journey. The further you are along, the more it'll hit you and go, whoa.
Yeah, it does. That moment, right?
Yeah.
The more awake and aware we are, often the more of that we get. But it's like,
Yeah.
we can react and pivot.
Yep.
And when we're aware, when we're actually diving into the shadow, we are so much more aware. So then it's just like, oh, well, rather than avoiding and trying to put blinders on and just pretend it doesn't exist, I can instead either work to heal it or figure out a workaround.
Yep.
Like something that actually works in this situation, right? There are things that we like can't repair. Grief, for example, we can't bring someone back from the dead.
Yeah.
Right? So that pain, we can work to be with it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they will say, my grief lasts forever. I can't ever see my grief going away. Yeah. So it really may not. So then with that, how do you be with it? How do you work around it or work with it? And in other cases, shining the light on the shadow is all that's needed in order for it to transform, to alchemize into something else.
Yeah. Yeah. Grief's it's a hard one. There's no timetable. There's no timeline. I've heard others say when someone's lost someone, it might be 5 years or 6 years, and they're like, oh, it should be over it. No. Grief, when you lose somebody, you actually you enter a new normal or you're normal because they
Mm.
used to be in it and now they're not. So it's a whole new, you know, realm that you need to learn to live in. Shadows can pop up there a lot, you know, and it's worth looking at, not straight away, but later on. You have a
Mm.
look, you know, why am I reacting like this? Why am I, you know, I think the people that react with the, aren't they over it by now? They need to get this now. That's a problem.
Yeah, all that projecting onto other people is a
Yeah,
problem. I
yeah,
saw Ike commented that they've been working with a lot of clients to get out of people pleasing mode. And this deck, when I did my reading at the beginning of this month, I remember I just kept kind of drawing cards. It was this big elaborate spread. I did a Facebook post about it with a picture because there were so many cards out. But I remember it was kind of calling me out on where I was maybe starting to lean back into some people pleasing or my codependent habits again,
yeah,
because I'm a recovering codependent. And if I'm not willing to look at my shadows that are coming up, then I'm just going to slip immediately back into that old track
yeah,
and be right back on the hamster wheel of
yeah,
codependency again.
yeah, yeah. It's oh, if you really look at it and you really think, you know, and you really go back. I read something the other day was like, if you, three whys will get you to the core. I tried it out, you know, on a couple of my own things, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty right, you know. Why? It'll get you all the way back to where it originated. And people pleasing is huge, right? Like, especially in women. You know, we're bred that way. Be a good girl. Don't cause a scene. Why don't you smile? So it's like,
Mhm.
okay, we have to be good girls. We have to, you know, be a little bit quiet, not make noise. We're not boys. We can't run and play in the dirt. And it's not, you know, boys will be boys, but girls be, you know, quiet, be nice, be pleasing to others. And, you know, I don't know about you. I'm pretty sure about you and me, but inside our little girl, you know, has got a knife and wants to get out of there.
Yes, very much so.
You
Very
smile,
much so.
you might want to smile. You know, no one says that to boys. Why don't you
Mhm.
smile? No, what's wrong? It's oh, it's deep conditioning.
Right.
Deep, you know. I was only
Very.
a Facebook like a meme comes up every now and then. It's not really a meme, and it shows you back in 1960 something. What was the advice to girls in like home ec classes? Put a ribbon in your hair. Don't tell your husband how your day's been. Make sure he has a hot meal. Get his slippers. Your um, what you enter in the day is not as important as his, and it just makes you want to burn everything, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Um,
This is, huh? How about those generations of burned witches? Huh.
yeah, yeah, you
Yeah,
know. So
like,
there's a lot we've got to come out of, you know, because we're sort of put in that space, and it's like, you know, I don't agree with this. How do you know? I'm not just here to please everybody else. What about my life? What do I want to accomplish? So we go back and we find, you know, the big people pleasing shadow there. We've got to work with it, heal it, get through it, put some boundaries in, you know, start to say no, which is hard for a lot of people.
it is reclaiming our no. When Ikenna and I first started dating, we had to practice me saying the word no. And I sobbed. Like,
Yeah.
I'd try and say no, and it would get stuck in my throat, and I would just cry and cry and cry. Like, that is how deeply programmed being silent has been for so many people. You know,
Yep.
yes, absolutely. Women assigned female at birth, people immediately are getting that programming. And if you come into it later in life, you get it then, right?
Yeah.
It's the same
Yeah.
across the board. And
Yeah.
it does not allow for authenticity. It is such a damaging state for our society to be in.
It
And
is.
we've got to
Yeah.
undo it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like it's the same for boys. Don't cry. You know, you're a
Yes.
boy. What are you crying for? It, it's the same thing. So unraveling that is really, really hard. You know,
Yes.
it takes work, but and it's ongoing. Like I wouldn't say to anybody, you know, people say to me, "Oh, so you must have everything under control. You obviously know your shadows." No, I didn't reach some nirvana or Zen state. I'm still processing, right? And
Yes.
things happen, new things happen. And it's how you react to it or respond to it, you know. My good friend always tells me, respond, don't react. So I'm like, okay, take a breath, count to 10, respond, don't react, right? We're in these places. We're actually doing a course now called Restoring Your Light. So we're using Unveiled as a guideline,
Mm.
and she's working on chakras and energy work, and I'm talking about the shadow and where it aligns with what chakra. So it's all about just putting all of that together, finding out, are you people pleasing due to your base chakra, your foundations, your stability, all of that. There's a lot, there's a lot. But the first step is to have a look, pull a card and go, okay, accountability. Do I have any? What does that mean? People don't understand what it means a lot. If you realize that you're responsible for everything you do, okay, everything you do. So if you're, nobody sees that. See what they did to me? See how they treated me? What was your part in that? Did you push
Mhm.
buttons for the desired result?
Oh,
I've done it. When I realized that, I was like, oh my God. Like, and that happens to me still. I'll pull card. I just laugh when I pull Unveiled for myself. I'm like, oh, you cheeky bitch. But I get it.
oh my gosh. By the way, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the comments, but people are really enjoying this very open conversation. Bobby said she appreciates this conversation so much. And yeah, like this is this is the stuff. If we can't call ourselves out, we can't take ownership, and ownership is empowerment. When I
Yeah,
can say, I'm taking ownership for what I did so that I can do it again or never do it again,
yeah,
right? Like then
yeah,
it's this, we're embracing that it's a choice. We're in we're in that zone of creation because we can make the choice, right? We're not feeling like we're veering down tracks we didn't build.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, it takes, you got to look at yourself in the mirror. You got to look at your actions. And it's okay to go, oh, geez, 10 years ago, I really didn't take accountability. I might have been a bitch in that situation. Why did I do that? And then you look back and you realize why you did it, and you
Mhm.
get it. And then it's like, okay, I will do better. Like you do better when you know better. When you don't know better, it's hard, right? Like this
Yeah.
life is hard to navigate. The main, I don't know, the big thing I'll tell anybody who's starting on this journey of self-awareness or picking up Unveiled, be kind to yourself, please. Okay? You did things to survive, to get you to here, all right? Blaming yourself, putting guilt on you, you're just creating more
Right. We don't need
shit.
to do more harm.
No, no, be kind to yourself. Talk to your little girl or your little boy, we did that to get to here. It's okay now. You're safe. I got you. I'll take it from here. Put the baggage down.
Mhm.
You've got to be kind to yourself, because you're going to call yourself out and you're going to go, oh my God, why did I do that? I feel really bad. I shouldn't. It's okay. It's done. Do better now.
Yeah.
It's not about like hauling yourself over the coals and having so much judgment that you're in a dark space. It's not that. It's about healing the stuff that happened to you. So then, as you go out into the world, you have compassion, you have empathy. You can see when people do certain things, you understand where that comes from. What they're going through, what they've gone through to get that. There's if you scroll through Facebook, we all have the person that posts everything, um, every thought, every look what I did, look what I did, look what I did, right? So people say, oh my God, you're such a great person. That is seeking approval.
Yes.
Facebook's the place to get it. Go back to find out what were your parents going through, or what shadows did they have that they couldn't tell you. Man, I'm so proud of you. You've done such a great job. Keep it up.
Mhm.
Like it's glaringly obvious once you go down the track, and it gives you empathy, and it gives you compassion for others, and you look at them in a different light. So it's just not like, oh, it's like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
you know, and not that you can message them and say, hey, because they'll find their way when they do, you know.
Yeah. Generational healing is really hard, really, really hard. And for whatever reason, it seems like the younger generation tends, at least right now, to do the work first. So, yeah, if you're
Yeah,
doing some inner child healing, do that with yourself and not with your actual parent if they are still alive. If you
yeah,
need inner child healing, chances are you're not going to find it from your parent, right?
yeah,
Just
100%, love. You've got
unfortunately.
to, yeah, you've got to do it, and you can't
Reparenting
wait.
yourself.
Yeah, you can't wait for that approval or, um, oh no, you're a good girl, Kim. We're proud of you. You have to find that within. You know
Yep.
you're a good girl. You know you kick ass. You don't need, you know, you've gone past that. You need to let it go, heal it. Look at your achievements. You don't need someone to say, you know, good on you. Like, it's always nice, but you don't need it. You
Right.
know, as an adult, you need to move past that. And you know what? Instill it in your children. I tell my kid, like, there's nothing you can't do. I'm proud. Oh, you done so well. Doesn't matter what they did. So they know they can do anything. They're good enough to do anything. They feel that within themselves. There's nothing they can't do. You know, it wouldn't enter their mind that they wouldn't be able to do it, because their entire life I've been telling them, you can do anything. You're awesome. Girls and boys. I got them all. You know what I mean? So you instill it there and you change that programming and they go on to do great things. They don't
Yep.
have that, what if it doesn't work?
Yeah, I mean, in my work as a trauma therapist, this is a conversation that comes up all the time. I will say, when they're dealing with shame, they're dealing with, these just unfathomably deep emotions of pain that they don't know what to do with. And they're like just struggling with, what else do I have? I say, well, what was it like for you growing up? And usually they look back and they weren't getting a lot of that positive attention. And I just try on this new description, and I say, I want you to imagine that you were a little kid and your parents told you every day how proud they were of you, and they told you you can do and be anything that you want, and they always loved you and supported you in your dreams and and like, my clients are like, I didn't have any of that. And I'm like, yeah, but what if you did?
Mm-hmm.
What would have been different right now? And they're like, well, I wouldn't be thinking anything I'm thinking now.
That's
And I'm
it.
like,
Yeah.
exactly, because unfortunately, when we don't own our wounds and we don't own our shadows and we bypass the bullshit, then we end up wounding other people, and it's often children.
Yep.
It's often the people that we love the most that
Yep.
we harm.
100%. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's so important to do this work. And it needs to be, I don't know, well, therapy's mainstream, but I don't, we need to change, how no one does inner work. There's no, oh, fifth period at school is self-awareness period. No,
Right.
so it needs to change on a level that is, um, I don't know, just available, maybe, like
It
if you
needs to
don't,
be fundamental. It needs
yeah,
to be fundamental across every level of society, that we can access these tools to deep dive our emotions. And I mean, I was a public school teacher before I became a therapist,
mm-hmm,
and now I'm leaving therapy to be a spiritual guide. So I mean, I'm
yeah,
in complete agreement, because public school is about compliance and grow up so you'll get a desk job and feed a corporation. And
yeah,
then college is the credential chase to continue burning yourself out. And that's all public education is. And then therapy is, we need to cure you from your mental illness that has been brought on by society, but we're going to pretend it's not. So let's heal you so you can go back to work and be a productive member of society. And I'm like, I'm not about that either. So I'm getting
yeah,
out of here.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It
100%,
needs to
love
be
it.
more accessible. Community
Yeah,
healing, generational healing,
yeah.
and messages of love and ownership. But I mean, I'm sure I don't have to say that all you got to do is look at American politics over the last little bit to see that there's no accountability on a larger scale. So of course people don't know what
Yeah.
accountability looks like.
And that's politics the world over, love. There's no, like, and you, especially when you see an election, they did this, that we've gotten no money because they did here also, and a new government comes in. Oh well, we have to tax you more because they did this. There is no,
blame.
yeah, there's no accountability anywhere. So people grow up watching this like, must be someone else's fault, you know.
Right.
It's, and it goes down a cellular level, you know, like, you know, we can bitch about fuel prices. That's not our fault, but that's not what we're getting at, you know. It's like the deep stuff. We need to be better. So as a society, we're better. You know, when you work through Unveiled, you realize that judgment is a huge trigger. Why are you judging someone? You know, there's
Yeah.
a reason for it. What, live and let live. No, you can't do that. Why? And judgment is one of those big things. You know, everything from mum shaming to everything. Okay, and
Literally there's
yeah,
judgment everywhere.
yeah, it drives me crazy. You know, it drives me crazy. You see, I read a story the other day about, not a story. It was like a post when this woman was at the beach and she saw this young mum with her daughter at the beach. They had matching swimsuits on, looked so cute. She put out a little rug and then she made the daughter do, 10,000 selfies. The daughter was like, can I go in the water? Can I go in the water? Then it was like, okay, go in. And then she's calling the mum, come in the water. No, mum's taking selfies. She gets out of the water. Mum, can we go play in the water together? No, we need to go home now. So what you see is the Instagram of the perfect mum and daughter having fun at the beach when, no. Now, why did she need to do that? That's a huge shadow.
Right.
What is the daughter growing up to feel? You know, like, it's a whole new thing with the social media. Yeah. Like, who knows what? Yeah.
Everything is speaking of unveiled, right? Social
Yeah.
media so much is a veil. It's
Oh,
not.
yeah.
That's why I'm so pro honest marketing and honest messaging and honest like representation of the light and the shadow in all things, because if you are again trying to pretend everything is hunky dory, everything's great, everything's love and light, everything's puppies and roses and kittens all the time, then you somewhere in there you are hurting someone else, right? You're
Yep.
neglecting the
Yep.
kid with the
Yep.
wound, or you're neglecting your partner, you're neglecting your own inner child somewhere
Yep.
in there.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And so the child is now wounded and has a shadow.
Yep.
How's she going to play that out? Does she have to be the perfect selfie? Does that make mum happy? And what does that say about what she looks like? Everything's the outer, not the inside.
Right.
And then you get ancestral trauma, and on and on and on it goes,
And
which
on
is
and
very
on.
hard to break. I read something the other day. They did this experiment with mice, and they put some, I don't know, rat sack or something in some grapes. So they ate the grapes, they died, and they had like, I don't know, generations that they did this with. And the second generation and the third generation wouldn't go near the grapes, even though there was nothing in them. It took the fourth generation for them to go and eat a grape. So you don't even know why you don't want the grape, but
Wow.
yeah.
Oh,
I read it, I was like, yeah,
I
wow.
hate animal experimentation for the
Yep,
record, but that
me
kind of
too.
stuff is like, I mean, you can see it. It's
Yep,
obviously there in our culture. If anyone dares to open their eyes and look, right?
yep,
But that's the having to acknowledge the shadow and these cultural legacies,
yep,
societal legacies. But yeah, oh, that is so true. We're seeing these DNA markers. We're seeing biomarkers of trauma and how this is passed down. So the most important, I literally say this on every call. I feel like it comes up in every conversation. The most important thing you can do to heal the world is heal yourself.
yep, yep,
That is
absolutely, love.
the most
Yep,
important thing.
yep, yep, because then it's like you have the light, the torch, and then you light everybody else's.
Yep.
And suddenly there's light,
Yes.
and I think that's the biggest maybe misconception about Unveiled. Oh, it's dark. Oh, it looks a bit scary. Oh, I've had people say, is it black magic? No, it's therapy on steroids. There's nothing black about it. All right. It's about lighting your own torch again so then you can help others light theirs. And when you
Yes.
just go out in the world and you're, somewhat self-aware, you have empathy, you have compassion. You're not so quick to judge anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Once the judgment stops, oh my God, imagine the lives we could all lead.
Imagine. I mean, I just see that even in my own little circle. The more that we become radically accepting of each other and the more that we are kind to ourselves and each other, and the more that we're open and we're like, this is why I'm over here with my attitude right now,
Yep.
because this is coming up for me, and we just air it out and we support each other in it, then there it is. It heals in the moment. It's able to transform in the moment instead of this shove it in the basement, right? We can shove all of our problems in the basement for a very long time, but eventually the basement gets full. And that's when we have psychotic breaks.
That's
That's
right.
literally when we have burnout and psychotic breaks and mental breakdowns and massive health upheaval, because our nervous system literally cannot bypass anymore. And that's me speaking as a medical professional right there. Like, there's only so much we can contain.
Yep, that's it. And that it's a process that we need to check in with ourselves constantly. Like, I'm pretty self-aware, but there are times, and then I'm just like, go pick up your deck, go have a look. Why did you do that? Because we're human. We're also human, and with the bypassing is this. We're spiritual beings having a human existence. Yes, have it. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad. It's the human experience. Do you want us to have it or not? We're not here to sit in an ivory tower and pretend we're better than everybody else because we're a little bit spiritual.
Right.
I don't think it's spiritual at all when it comes down to that, but you know what I mean? It's about being down in the trenches, not about thinking you're better than other people, and that's the whole love and light thing and bypassing that, pisses me off, because you're not doing the work if you're looking down at people, and saying, oh, I've ascended, and, have you though? I don't think so.
Yeah, if you have, then why are you still here, my friend? That's all I have to say.
Yeah. If you're truly self-aware and compassionate, you're not up there looking down. You're down here helping, giving other people the torch. It's another shaming thing. If you're in a spiritual group that you can't get angry and you can't speak your truth, and you're made to feel less than if you do that. Are you in a cult? Where are you? You're not in a space where you can be yourself, right? And spirituality to me is being your absolute authentic self, being able to say, that makes me mad, or that I know how to feel about that. Not just love and light, it'll be okay, have a cake. No. All right, like
have a cake. Yeah.
The cake,
I do know. I'm sad that I know.
Yeah.
It's out there. And there's so much harm we do when we do not own our stuff. And so, this is a great tool to have at your disposal. Of course, I highly recommend therapy with an open-minded therapist.
Me too.
Or coaching with somebody that you can tell aligns truly with you and is not just, masquerading with a personality disorder, charging you exorbitant amounts of money to spend time with them. That's a whole other soapbox I could get on. So, Kim, do you want to do a little reading for the collective with maybe what collective shadow we're working on?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to pull 3 light cards and pull a couple of shadow cards, and everyone can take what resonates. Hard to get the words out. It's only the second coffee of the day. All right, so we have relationships, material needs, and self-worth. That's very interesting. The collective, I think, in both our countries is cost of living. We're coming out of a pandemic. Things have been unprecedented for everybody alive right now, and it's very hard. So I think that's most of us, I would say, right now. So let me pull 3 cards. What to look at. Okay, so on relationships, I've pulled the mirror. The mirror is about looking in the mirror and what looks back at you. what is the reflection? Is it you, or is it the mask you wear that you think everybody else wants? Because we don't really know, do we? If we put a mask on, it's what we think they want. No one says to us, well, I guess some do, I need you to be this, I need you to be that. I guess that is there. But we put that mask on. In relationships, look, we all know the importance of being yourself. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Okay, if you're being what you think that person wants or what they expect you to be, you need to leave that relationship, because you're not you. Okay, so have a look in them, and all relationships. Okay, are you the colleague you think you should be, or are you you? Are you the friend you think you should be, or do you just tell everybody what they want to hear in your circle so they like you? You need to challenge them. You need to say, this pattern you have of whatever you're doing is self-sabotage, and I love you enough to tell you that, because I want you to realize it, and I want you to have healthy relationships in the future. I don't know, if a friend told me that, I'd be like, oh my God, you're the best, right? This is what we want, truthfulness. So have a look at your reflection, and is it authentic? Okay, does it match you, or is it what you think people want to see? Okay, in all relationships. Material needs, I've pulled stagnant. And you go back to that story of only got 5 years till I get my long service and my gold watch, but you're stagnant. Everything in your life is stagnant. You clock on, you clock off, there's no growth. Okay, now look, there are times we need to clock on and clock off. I've done it. Okay, there were, like, we cannot always, oh, I'm going to be a fairy and not go to work, and mortgage doesn't get paid like that, right? So there's times we have to do that. That's just fact. But at what cost? There's, is it so bad you have anxiety, you can't sleep, you cry in the car park at work? This is a problem. This is a problem. And I know right now it's hard. We do, the interest rates are going up. Fuel is crazy. Food is crazy. I think our countries are similar like that. We have to earn money. So when you're in a space like that, it's not really about your shadows kept you there. It's reality right now, and I have to get through this. So don't get that mixed up with, why you won't leave a job when there's clearly other work available to you. You're just scared to go there. Okay, so in material needs, have a look at what is real stagnant and what is just what you have to do right now. Okay, because we can't all, just do what you want. We can't do that a lot of the time. Okay, but if we have to do it at work, we need to be authentic in our relationships, in our life. Otherwise, it's too much. Okay, self-worth, and we have balance. The dark card of balance, I just like this card, and I think it's because a lot of us do this. We look after everybody else and we have nothing left. So our self-worth is down here because we prioritize everybody else and we have nothing left for us. So there's no balance. There's no time to be creative. Go and get coffee with a friend. There's no time because we have to do everything for everybody else. It tells your self-worth you're at the bottom of the pile. So you need to look at your boundaries. Say, no, I can't. I need to do this. When's the last time you did something for yourself? You read a book. You did something creative. You just went for a walk. You did a class. You did something outside the comfort zone. If you've never done, say you see my ad for tarot class and you go, oh, I've never done anything, but I'm going to do that. That is balance. You're doing something for yourself, yoga, anything, but you need to do it. Otherwise, there's no balance. You're way over in the red, which tells yourself on a level you're not good enough to be first.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for that. That matches so much with what I see people really struggling with right now. And I think that there were some great gems in there for what we can look at in ourselves to really break free from these patterns if we choose. It's a choice.
Yeah,
so
it is.
Choose yourself.
Yeah, it's hard, It's not an ideal. I don't know if there's ever been an ideal time where you can just be like, oh, it's okay, I can afford this, I can do that, I can whatever. And if you're saying, I'd love to do yoga and I can't afford it right now, fuel's got, I get that. Do some meditation, look it up on YouTube, do YouTube yoga.
You
Okay,
can YouTube
we have
yoga,
things. Yeah, we just choose to be. Oh, I can't. I can't. I can't. So then you're sitting in self pity. Why? You're important as everybody else. Go and do your class. Go and get that coffee. The little things you can do. Sitting outside, put some headphones in, put whatever soothes you, sit there.
yeah.
Okay, if I need that Guns N' Roses go in, I'm in Zen and I'm happy.
Yeah, you are. Well, thank you so much for this conversation tonight. Well, this morning for you, Kim. This, it's the end of the day for me, but this was just a wonderful conversation. And again, if you're tuning in live, we've had people popping in and out all evening over here. More, I don't know. You're not streaming to your people, but they're probably still asleep. You're the early bird. But yeah,
And I
like
think I did.
if you are catching the end of this, feel free to rewind and watch earlier portions because we definitely called ourselves out. We called the collective out. We are not about bypassing because it doesn't
No,
help us heal. So,
no, you do not.
thank you again, Kim. If you want to look at Kim's deck online, it's on Amazon. It's called Unveiled, and Kim, her last name is spelled Paget.
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 Yep. Yep.
Yeah, check it out. It is an awesome, beautiful deck, beautiful art, just incredible. Great conversation
Thank you
starter
so much
today.
for having me, love.
Absolutely. All right. Until next time, my friend.